Okay, so I don't know if you can see this on this photograph.
Okay.
And it looks worse in person.
Yeah, it usually does.
That bird at the center of your screen is completely unlit.
Wow.
No lamps illuminated that bird at all. And that happened with multiple birds throughout the set. That tells me that lighting isn't gone over. Usually there was a maintenance technician that would check this every single day just to make sure that, those kind of things are dealt with. And they're just not. And for whatever reason, they're just not getting to these things as regularly as they should. And it's just like, man, if they're not getting to these things that are so obvious, that are so plain, that are so just out there, what aren't they going? Why aren't they checking? And it does have me concerned. I will say one of the attractions that was in the worst shape that I wasn't able to get photos of, obviously, but it was Splash Mountain, which I think that's not only just a maintenance issue, but it's also kind of tells you they're letting that thing die.
Right.
That's I believe we had a conversation about this when I was actually there, and I think it was you who said, yeah, that says something, and you're exactly right. That's exactly what it is. They're just kind of letting that go. There were multiple animatronics that some that were not moving, others that were moving fully but not lit, no lighting whatsoever, so you can barely see them. Some effects that would work one day, some effects that wouldn't work the other. Particularly bad on the audio side when you're passing Brer Rabbit and he's kind of caught finally, and he's in, he's got honey all over him and stuff like that. That speaker is just completely muffled and either blown or something like that. And it's just, it's a bad showing for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Dre, I was going to say too, this was one of my big concerns when the park. And I want to preface this by saying, regardless of what you think about the pandy and regardless of what you think about lockdowns, from a Disneyland perspective, I'm only going by Disneyland perspective, not a health perspective or anything like that. So I don't want everyone to get mad at me. But from a Disneyland perspective, one thing I was worried about with the year plus of being shut down is stuff like this coming back. When the parks reopen, this is something that it's kind of inevitable, they're going to make these massive cuts because they're bleeding out, and the parks, Walt Disney World wasn't closed for nearly as long, but Disneyland was closed for, I think 13 or 14 months,
412 days.
Yep. So they're going to come through now, and they're going to find every little way to save a dime.
Yeah.
For better or worse, that's what they're doing because they're trying to recover from that year plus. And it's not an excuse, but it's just it's unfortunate. It really is. This is a big concern. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that the parks even look as good as they do. I was making videos a year ago when the pandemic started, saying I don't even know if they could survive being shut down for a year. I mean, I didn't even know if they could survive that, But it's just I mean, this is something that I think kind of comes with, unfortunately, the territory. When they bled out for that long, we're going to see stuff like this. And it's not as bad as Paul Pressler era.
No.
But it could get that way. It doesn't take much to go down that slippery slope and get that bad, though, So
and that's it. And that's it. Look, what made the Paul Pressler era really bad is they kind of let these things go for a long time. And didn't service them when they could. The preventative maintenance just didn't exist. And unfortunately, they had to learn that the hard way. And so ever since the Paul Pressler era going forward, up until 2019 or 2020, it was always about preventive maintenance. It was always about prevent this stuff from getting really bad, or else you're going to have to take down these attractions fully. You're going to have them closed for months. You're going to have to pay for these expensive operations and rehabilitation projects to go back in there and refurbish them from the ground up. And it's we can push all that off if we just maintain them as we go along. And unfortunately, that mentality is changing from what I've seen, because this is only a couple months out, guys.
Right.
They only open in April.
Right.
And
end of April, I think, right? Wasn't it end of April?
Yeah, end of April, April 30th. You're exactly 100% correct. So if we're starting to see this stuff now, Yeah. Now, hopefully they do get some more people in here. More people in here, more technicians in here, more third shift in here to kind of keep these things from getting any worse, and rehab these things on a more constant basis, on a more frequent basis. But understand, folks, when previously you had 32,000 cast members that were working at the Disneyland Resort, and now we're at about 19,000, and you have Christian McCarthy saying, well, we're going to be fully staffed up by the end of the year. Understand who's being cut and what the potential effect of that could be on the resort itself.
Right.
I'll say this, I'll go off a little diatribe here.
No, do it.
Cast members, when you talk to cast members, they're all too willing to share with you how they're being overworked, how they have a lot more duties and roles than they ever did before, where maybe they were working a station, and I've said this before, but maybe they were working a station with 8 people, and now they have 2 or 3 people,
Wow.
and how those duties are tended to, and how much yield they can get out of each cast member. It's
Yield.
tough. Yields, right? That was a constant joke that we had. Whenever we'd see something wrong, it's like, oh, yields. Yeah, that's what that is. And honestly, sometimes it's appropriate. But you talk to cast members, and it's it's tough. And one of the things that we saw on Sunday, our first day there at Disneyland, that we were kind of shocked by was like the tops of trash cans, for example. And I think you experienced this yourself, Orange Grove, when you went. The tops of trash cans, or the sides of them, just not getting cleaned as regularly as we might expect.
Right.
Now, that's pretty big out in like a place like Florida and Epcot, where you go to the Food and Wine Festival and you got to eat on top of those things normally. It's never been quite that bad at Disneyland, but man, I mean, it's getting to a point now where you don't really want to be anywhere near these things because they're just not being wiped down. They're just not being serviced as regularly as they should. Go into the restroom and look, we're going to have to get into it, folks. I'm sorry. Hopefully you're not eating right now.
Get into it.
Look,
let's talk about it.
Now, ladies, you might not have experience with this, but fellow men here, I think we can all kind of relate to this. Look, when you saddle up beside a urinal, there are things that happen, and unfortunately, not everybody's on target. And there's some moisture buildup at the bottom of those urinals sometimes, right? Okay, all right. We just we can go with that. And usually at Disneyland, that's never been an issue. Usually they service those restrooms so frequently. There's always somebody with a mop there. These things are so clean. They're the cleanest restrooms probably that you can find in Southern California.
Right.
I will say, when going to Disneyland on Sunday, that wasn't the case. These things were a little bit unkempt, more than I've seen in a while. Now, this is interesting because you go to downtown Disney, and there was somebody with a mop like right away, and these restrooms were being serviced constantly, and I was like, what is going on here? Why does downtown Disney have nicer restrooms, or at least maintenance-wise, than Disneyland? This is outrageous. Well, we ran into a cast member named Phil, and he, explained to it, hey, look, downtown Disney is serviced by the Disney California Adventure unions and cast members, and we take pride in our work. We try to give it 150%. Disneyland, not so much. And it's starting to affect these facilities.
Yeah.
And it's you just hear all these stories from cast members talking, and it's just like, just one cast member, for example, the guy's like, we had a guy who was like 73. And he was constantly complaining about being overworked. And one of the last things he ever said was, man, these hours are going to kill me. And sure enough, he collapses on his way home one day from working, and he's dead that night. Now look, I don't want to say that his, commitment to Disneyland caused that, right?
Right.
That could be a myriad of factors. But it is something that's like, man, that's tragic. That's horrible. Maybe we should reevaluate. Maybe we should, really rethink this.
Yeah.
It's just we're starting to see the effects of it, and hopefully that changes.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get just a few more cast members to kind of up the frequency of these things, both for the attractions themselves and also for these facilities.
Yeah, I want to touch upon a couple of things that you talked about.
Please.
In terms of the men's urinals, fellas, that little fly or bee icon in the toilet, aim for that. That's what it's there for. Aim for that. Okay. And I understand, guys. I understand, fellas. Sometimes you're aiming for that. You're doing the right thing and you sneeze and it ends up all over the ceiling. I get it. We've all been there. But try your best. Just aim for that little bee icon and you should be okay. And another thing I want to touch upon, and I'm not gonna kiss anyone's ass. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I really do believe this. I really, really do believe this. The custodial crew at Disneyland Resort, they're some of the most important cast members. Yeah. And I'm not diminishing anyone else's role at the resort, but the custodial team in particular, in my opinion, is some of the most important roles in the resort. They're vital. I mean, Walt Disney was very clear in his vision for Disneyland. He wanted a clean park. The custodial crew at the resort is vital.
Yeah.
They need to give the custodial crew the resources they need to do their job. Yeah. On top of that, they need to pay these people better. I think that, you got to pay them better. You got to give them the worth that they like. You got to give them the pay they deserve, and like acknowledge the role they play in these parks. It's massive. It's absolutely massive, and that's one area. If you're going to make cuts, don't cut custodial. Don't cut custodial. I mean, look, cuts always suck. It's never fun to lose a job, to get furloughed. I've been furloughed. I've lost a job. I've been in all these positions before. It's never fun. But the custodial staff at a Disney park should never be part of that equation. They need to keep these parks clean. There's no excuse.